Hello, I am Aditi. The question is, which of the following, if true, would most weaken the theory proposed by Snyder et al.? The correct solution is option number 2. The ability of caffeine derivatives at very low concentrations to dislodge adenosine from its receptors in mouse brains correlates well with their ability to stimulate mouse locomotion at these low concentrations. Option number 2 contradicts author's contention the maximum. It is clearly mentioned in the 4th paragraph of the passage. Let us see. It clearly states that the ability of the compounds to compete at the receptors correlates with their ability to stimulate locomotion in the mouse. That is, the higher their capacity to bind at the receptors, the higher their ability to stimulate locomotion. Whereas, option number 2 clearly contradicts it, as it says, the ability of caffeine derivatives at very low concentrations to dislodge adenosine from its receptors in mouse brains correlates well with their ability to stimulate mouse locomotion at these low concentrations. It is absolutely contradicting the author's contention because it states that stimulating mouse locomotion at these low concentrations, which is just the opposite of what the author has talked. Option number 1, 3, 4 and 5 are completely irrelevant in the context of the passage. Therefore, the correct solution would be option number 2. Thank you. करके दिखाएंगे. Hello, I am Aditi. The question is, according to Snyder et al., caffeine differs from adenosine in that caffeine. The correct solution is option number 3. Permits release of neurotransmitters when it is bound to adenosine receptors, whereas adenosine inhibits such release. This option encompasses the complete answer. Although options 1, 2, 4 and 5 are correct, but they do not carry the full gist of the statement. Therefore, option number 3 becomes the correct answer. Let us see. It has been given in the opening paragraph of the passage. It states that adenosine normally depresses neuron firing in many areas of the brain. It apparently does this by inhibiting the release of neurotransmitters, chemicals that carry nerve impulses from one neuron to the next. In addition to this, the first paragraph states, Snyder et al. Propose that caffeine, which is structurally similar to adenosine, is able to bind to both types of receptors, which prevents adenosine from attaching there and allows the neurons to fire more readily than they otherwise would. Therefore, option number 3 becomes our correct answer. The solution is option 3. Thank you. करके दिखाएंगे. Hello, I am Aditi. The question is, in response to experimental results concerning IBM-X, Snyder and others contended that it is not uncommon for psychoactive drugs to have. The correct solution is option number 1, mixed effects in the brain. This is a direct answer taken from the last paragraph. Let us see. It clearly states that the compound has mixed effects in the brain, a not unusual occurrence with psychoactive drugs. Hence, the correct answer would be option number 1. Therefore, option number 2, 3, 4 and 5 are absolutely ruled out. Therefore, the solution is answer 1. Thank you. करके दिखाएंगे. Hello, I am Aditi. The question is, the passage suggests that Snyder and others believe that if the older theory concerning caffeine's effects were correct, which of the following would have to be the case? The correct solution is option number 2, statement B and C only. Let us see. Statement B states, substances other than caffeine that inhibit the production of phosphodiesterase would be stimulants. This has clearly been given in the second paragraph. It says, Caffeine's effects have been attributed to its inhibition of the production of phosphodiesterase, an enzyme that breaks down the chemical called cyclic AMP. Coming to statement C, all concentration levels of caffeine that are high enough to produce stimulation would also inhibit the production of phosphodiesterase. This has again been given in the second paragraph. Snyder and others point out that the caffeine concentrations needed to inhibit the production of phosphodiesterase in the brain are much higher than those that produce stimulation. Therefore, statement B and C are absolutely correct. Statement A cannot be taken into consideration because it talks about neurotransmitters and it does not talk about stimulation. Therefore, the correct answer would be option number 2, which supports statements B and C. Option number 1, 3, 4 and 5 therefore become incorrect. Hence, the solution is option number 2. Thank you. करके दिखाएंगे. Hello, I am Aditi. The question is, the last paragraph of the passage performs which of the following functions? The correct solution is option number 2. Describes a disconfirming experimental result and reports the explanation given by Snyder and others in an attempt to reconcile this result with their theory. The last paragraph depicts option number 2 the best. It clearly states that there was a dissimilar finding. Which brought about an inconsistency in the theory. Snyder and others have tried to relate this inconsistency with their theory. Let us see in the last paragraph. It says, there were some apparent exceptions to the general correlation observed between adenosine receptor binding and stimulation. One of these was a compound called 3-isobutyl-1,1-methyl-xanthine IBMX, which bound very well but actually depressed mouse locomotion. Snyder and others suggest that this is not a major stumbling block to their hypothesis. The problem is that the compound has mixed effects in the brain, a not unusual occurrence with psychoactive drugs. Even caffeine, which is generally known only for its stimulatory effects, displays this property, depressing mouse locomotion at very low concentrations and stimulating it at higher ones. Hence, the last paragraph depicts this option the best. Therefore, option number 1, 3, 4 and 5 become irrelevant. The correct solution is option number 2. Thank you. करके दिखाएंगे.